It's estimated a record $4 billion was spent on political campaigns nationwide for last week's midterm elections. But much of that funding came from secret sources. They call it dark money. And Dane Placco reports a lot of that cash ended up right here in Illinois.
Parents trusted Alexei, and Alexei let them down.
If it felt like this year's election,
under Pat Quinn, Illinois lost over 200,000 jobs.
Was louder and nastier than any before.
He voted for Pelosi's health care bill, which cut $500 billion from Medicare.
You can blame much of it on the unprecedented influence of so-called dark money, political contributions by outside groups which don't have to disclose the source of the money before the election, if at all. We talked via the internet with campaign watchdog Paul Blumenthal, who's been tracking dark money across the country.
Regular citizens aren't being able to figure out how they're being influenced by this money. So you have these outside groups, they come into a state, they drop a lot of negative advertisements, and you have no idea who is funding them.
And according to the Sunlight Foundation, more dark money flowed into Illinois this election cycle than any state in the country, including $7.8 million from the Republican Governors Association to run attack ads against Pat Quinn.
Pat Quinn, tax, waste, debt.
And $6.8 million for attack ads against Democratic Senate candidate Alexei Janulius.
A dishonest campaign. Illinois can't afford any more Alexei.
There's no question that the money that was spent against Alexei by these secret groups had an impact on the outcome of the election. And that's unfortunate, and hopefully, if it can't change, we're going to see this have serious implications in campaigns for years and decades to come.
Dark money has always been around, but never this much of it. That's because in January, the U.S. Supreme Court made a landmark ruling saying that restrictions on campaign contributions by corporations and unions violate their right to free political speech, which means money went gushing into the coffers of third-party groups with patriotic names like
American Future Fund,
the American Action Network. American Crossroads is responsible for the content of this advertising.
What many corporations have decided to do is put it into these other organizations that are, the Mom and Apple Pie or the Three Little Puppies Fund.
Cindy Canary of the Illinois Campaign for Political Reform says corporations and individuals can hide behind those generic names and wield enormous influence over the electoral process.
People need to know who is paying because money speaks. And people don't invest in political advertising unless they've got some interest at stake.
A bill called the Disclose Act that would require outside groups reveal the names of all donors has stalled in Congress. And while most of the secret money in this cycle was spent to knock out Democrats, advocacy groups say it's really a nonpartisan problem.
Well, we've already seen David Axelrod recently state that he might be willing to allow these outside groups to come back in on the Democratic side.
The way that these things work is once a tactic works for one political party, you can bet it'll be adopted by the other.
Getting a dose of dark money doesn't ensure campaign victory, but it doesn't hurt. A study by Public Citizen examined 74 congressional races where one or both candidates got unregulated money. The candidate who got the most money won 78% of the time. Of course, it didn't help Bill Brady this time around.
Just seems like we got to do something about it. We want transparency in government, and it just seems like this is the murkiest thing ever.
It is. It is very murky. It's going to be before Congress in the next couple of months.
But it's not going to.
Probably not going to pass. Why does it always seem to go against knocking down a candidate rather than supporting another candidate?
There's nothing positive, no positive ads.
Because it allows the candidates who are spending their own money to keep their hands a little bit cleaner. Then these outside groups can come in and really dirty up the laundry.
All right, Dane. Thanks, that's gloomy.